Mrs. Spears. Might as well. I'm walking through a ghost town, y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong, don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. Yeah, we're lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page, but we still read that book, and we still run that race. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody, welcome to Wire to Wire. This is Coffee and Sports. We are live. I'm Carmike. To my left, I got Mr. the NFL Genius. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm fired up, baby. Coffee and Sports. Crazy week in NFL free agency. And I told you, listen, I said this on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when I was on the morning show. I said, we're going to learn a lot about the Lakers over the next 4 or 5 games. And look, they beat the Knicks. They won a game in overtime. And honestly, they did everything they needed to do in that Boston game before LeBron got hurt. Now, granted, a little bit of comeback happened. They made it look closer than it really was, but they did well in that basketball game. Like, I think I learned a lot about the Lakers.
And to my right, it's the big guy of the show, man. You know, if you mow better, you do better. Mo, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, and coming off a great sports weekend. So much money being spread out in the NFL. I mean, it's all about the money. Apparently, let's get it.
All right, so I want to start with the UFC fight, Mr. Ed New, Ankalaev and Pereira, man. That was a tough loss for your boy, man. Mo, how you feel about that fight?
I was disappointed in Pereira. I really was. I because of what I've seen him do before, I was just disappointed. I don't think the fight lived up to the hype, in my opinion, but I just thought I expected more of him. And so when you set this bar for somebody that talented, it was just disappointing.
Yeah. Uncle Dana was not happy, Carmine. Uncle Dana was not happy. I want to make that very clear because, like, that's his golden goose, right? Like, that's who John Jones wanted to fight at heavyweight. And Ankalaev, what he did that was very smart was he made sure he stayed inside of Pereira and, like, kept him held against the cage. He was much more technical. He kept Pereira on the defense, whereas normally Pereira is stalking a fighter down. That's not what happened this fight.
Yeah, he was very technical. He was more of the technical fighter. He landed more of the strikes, especially in the second round. He hit him with a big one, you know. So I think Pereira was just unprepared going into this one and took an L. Honestly, Ankalaev, like, he was ready for it, man. That man ain't lost since 2018. So moving on. Hey, I want to shout out to the biggest losers going into the 2025-26 season. Y'all know who it is. It's them Cleveland Browns. They sold the bag. They sold the bag.
Hold on. Before we get off UFC, can I just say one quick thing?
Go ahead.
I don't want to leave UFC without this. Any card that has Justin Gaethje on it, I will watch the card.
Justin Gaethje.
I like the co-main event stole the show, right? And we all wish it was 5 rounds. Everybody I was watching it with wished it was 5 rounds because those two dudes went at it. And Gaethje won the fight, but, like, let's give credit where credit's due. That was a hell of a fight. I don't know. This man, I hate saying this on air, but he's going to walk around with CTE, bro. He's going to have it, right? There's going to be something that goes wrong. Justin Gaethje leads every fight with his chin, but he wins fight of the night performances almost every single time because he has no problem walking into the ring and throwing down. So I wanted to give, although the main event was kind of a snooze fest, the co-main event did it for me. So I didn't want to skip over that. I apologize, Carmike.
No, you good, man. I didn't tune in. I tuned into the big one. But, you know, anyway, Like I said, NFL was smacking last weekend. A lot of big things going on. And the 2025-26 losers, again, since Deshaun Watson that contract, we go into the Cleveland Browns, giving Myles Garrett $40 million per year. Mo, what you thinking about it?
I think that Myles Garrett found his love for Cleveland when he was guaranteed $123 million. He fell in love with them again, amazingly, when he said it was done. It was over. There was nothing they could do. He was determined to move on because he wanted to win, and $123 million said winning's not that big a deal.
Gene, how you feel about the contract, man?
I'm disappointed. And I'll say this, right? If Myles Garrett thought he was getting $40 million for anybody that wants to win, that was not going to happen. Like, no one, like, I say this before, and I'm always right when I say it. If you're spending, and I mean this, more than 10% of your cap on a non-quarterback, you are not going to win a Super Bowl.
You don't think Myles worth it? I just don't think he's worth it there.
No. I don't think any player not named Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. I'm just telling you, like, all right, so let me ask you a question real quick. If the Eagles lost Jalen Carter in this postseason, you'd be like, oh, that's going to be really tough for them to overcome that. But they could still win without Jalen Carter. They got Josh Sweat, they got Milton Williams, they got Nolan Smith. But if the Eagles lost Jalen,
let me ask you this. When does the respect come in for everybody that's outside of a quarterback, though?
It's not, because the quarterback is the most important player. Look, I'm not saying that they should get all this money, but if you lose your quarterback, I don't care who you take off Kansas City. If Pat Mahomes isn't there, they're not winning.
True, but also let's talk about like the Seahawks, how they won a Super Bowl. It was defense. The Broncos, they carried Peyton Manning 2-1. Like, defense needs some respect and get some bread too, Mo. Don't you think so? People outside of QB should get money too, but I just don't.
No, go ahead.
I don't think Cleveland should have did it, but what you think?
Yeah, right. So let's remember, quarterback is the most important position. Look, Myles Garrett is a tremendous player. Nobody's going to argue that. But would you say, I'll give you an example. Is Jalen Hurts as a quarterback the equal of Myles Garrett, the defensive player? I don't think he is, but he's more important in the bigger scheme. You can survive without a Myles Garrett. You can still win because Jalen Hurts will do his part. And like you said, if you lost Jalen for the Eagles, you would still be a winner. You would still be a contender. You have to have a quarterback. Look at the Steelers right now. They're all over the place because they don't have a quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback in today's NFL, where it's so quarterback driven, it won't matter how good your defense is. You won't win a title. You won't. And that's what it's about, winning titles. I respect Myles Garrett. I think he's tremendous, but I think he's sold out. And I think Cleveland sold out. They didn't want to lose their best player. And I don't know. I get it. You don't want to lose your best player, but you just tied yourself into this relationship that's not going to bring back any titles. It's not going to bring back any championships because you don't have a quarterback.
Let's just say you can win with a game manager. Joe Flacco. The Ravens won with Joe Flacco, but their defense was the most dominant.
Right. Hold on. I hear what you're saying, right? You used examples like Seattle, you used Denver. We'll talk about Joe Flacco in a minute, right? But if there was one player that you could not take off of that Seattle Seahawks team, who would it be? It's Russ, bro. You can think about it all day, but if they went if Matt Flynn was their starting quarterback, they weren't winning the Super Bowl. There was one player you couldn't.
Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Fitzpatrick, when he's on, I think he could have helped Seattle win that too, but
he wasn't on that team.
No, I'm just saying that in replace of Russell, like, you could put game managers who can not sell you the game, but the defense can still win you game. Like I said, Peyton Manning played a terrible season. The Broncos still carried this man to a championship.
Yeah, but look at how bad they were when Brock Osweiler came in.
They was.
So, like, I get what you're saying, but if you remove Peyton Manning, they don't win the Super Bowl.
Honestly, I don't think they would have won if that defense was playing as hardcore as they was. It was
absolutely right, but there's not one player that you couldn't remove off that defense, and that defense would still be good. That's my whole point. A defense is a unit of 11. If you're saying quarterback or defense, I'm going to choose defense. But if you are saying quarterback or said defensive player, I'm taking the quarterback.
Oh, of course. I'm not taking one. I'll take a whole defense, but that there's certain defense that's legendary, but I mean,
it's a fun conversation, and I get why. And Cleveland is going to be able to get off that Deshaun Watson money shortly. So, like, they'll be able to have a rookie contract and be able to overpay for a position of need. So, like, I understand it from the Browns' perspective. Like, you want people to still tune in to Browns football. But with that being said, can you imagine the haul you could have got for Myles Garrett and actually rebuilt?
That's what I'm saying. Especially with, I ain't gonna get into that, but let's talk about the new guy under Patrick Mahomes, Mr. 6 years, $330 million, $250 million guaranteed. Do you think the Bills should have really paid that much for Josh Allen? Gene?
I mean, the answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. You have to pay that much for a quarterback. It's got to be one of the big four. And there's 4 of them in the NFL that can win without I'm not saying win without anything around them, but have shown you that they can get it done without things around them. And it's Josh, Pat, Lamar, and Joe. And those 4 have done it with that. Like, Joe's done it without an offensive line and a defense. Lamar's done it without number 1 wide receivers, although that's subjective to me because he has so many first-round wide receivers that don't turn out to nothing. But Pat's done it without wide receiver. And Josh Allen showed you this past year he can do it with Khalil Shakir being his number 1 option. So, yes, the answer is it's okay to pay those.
Are we just trying to get it done, or are we trying to go to a Super Bowl and win? Because he's playing well, but they're not getting over that hump. Mo, my fault, brother. I want you to comment on Josh Allen's contract. How you feel about it for the Bills?
I think it was a smart move by the Bills. You lock up the most important position in football. And to Gene's point, not just one of the most important positions, he's one of the 4 best quarterbacks in all the NFL, and you've locked him up. You have to do that. We always talk about the market changing. I think in this NFL, the market changes around those 4 quarterbacks. At some point, one of them is going to have an even bigger contract than Josh Allen. I think the Bills just anticipated and went ahead and beat themselves to the punch. I think it was a great move. Look, I understand that he's yet to get them to a Super Bowl, but when you watch the Bills play, it is not because of him. It's not because he hasn't done his part. And beating Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, that's not an easy task.
By the way, June is my new GM. June, me and you agree on so much. I appreciate you, friend.
But anyway, on Josh Allen contract, what I think is that a lot of them should take more of a Tom Brady approach. Build your team around you. You know what I mean? You can live off of 25, 30 million. You ain't got to take the crazy amount. Like, get your team right. Win Super Bowls, man. Like, the only one I know that really got off with making that kind of money was Drew Brees, but his team still never. I mean, granted, they got cheated several years in a row before, but he could have made it to the Super Bowl several times with the Saints with the money he was making. He's one of the top.
Pat got that deal. They went to the last 3 Super Bowls. Pat Mahomes got that deal.
Patrick Mahomes did, but he's a different caliber, man.
When Jalen got,
and not to mention, don't forget, Pat did reconstruct.
He did, but when Jalen got his deal, he was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL too.
Right
now, granted, what these teams can do, Carmack. Let me give you like a devil's advocate approach, right? Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying, but you realize that these teams can destroy the salary cap by bonusing the money and paying out of pocket. They just choose not to, right? Like Jerry Jones has done that with Dak Prescott now multiple times, where he's basically like restructured his contract and paid it out of pocket essentially. So like if the teams really do want to win and you recognize that Josh Allen's worth AB on your cap, then fine, bonus the money and pay him out of your pocket. The Eagles did that. You realize that Jalen Hurts only counts as $21 million against the salary cap this year? It's because they cheated the salary cap. Jeffrey Lurie bonused that money.
But do you not realize our team was already built when they gave him this money? I think the only acquisition we got after that was picking up Saquon, but we was already pretty much ready to go.
Hey, listen, coaching matters. And them getting Vic Fangio in here was the move. A lot of people, we overlook a lot of things. We look at Saquon being brought in here. We look at, what Zach Baum meant to the team. I'm going to tell you something right now. The most important Eagles, on top of Saquon, the most important Eagles acquisition that happened from 23 to 24 was Vic Fangio. We can argue that all day, bro. I love Saquon. I'm a huge Saquon fan. I ain't got a Vic Fangio jersey over there. I got a Saquon Barkley jersey. But if you watched how hopeless that defense was at the end of the 23-24 season, and then they finished number 1, just dominating in the Super Bowl, Vic Fangio deserves that.
And don't forget that ultimately Josh Allen can restructure his deal, and as long as he gets his money, right? He's going to still get his money, but I think at some point he'll do like a lot of quarterbacks have done. He'll restructure his deal, and it'll be team friendly.
So next on the list is Mr. DK, 5 years, $150 million, but the Steelers still don't have a solid quarterback, and there are really no real options out there for them but A-Rod, Russell, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields. Gene, what you think about the Steelers going into the 2025-26 season?
How you gave a man $30 million a year that can't run a route is beyond me. I'm sorry, bro. DK Metcalf is a physical specimen. He cannot run a route. So, you know what the perfect quarterback for DK Metcalf is? I'm not trying to be rude when I say this. It's Justin Fields. And you better re-sign Justin Fields now, because a scramble and run quarterback that specializes on broken plays is the best type of quarterback for DK Metcalf, because his route tree doesn't matter. But if you want to be on time, he's never on time. The guy is a physical specimen that has no idea what a route tree concept is. He hasn't known. There's a reason this man fell to the end of the second round. Everybody forgets that. DK Metcalf, this physical specimen coming out of college, didn't get drafted until pick 59 by the Seattle Seahawks because he can't run a route tree. And then you're going to put him in. God, they better get rid of George Pickens. You cannot have those two as your wide receiver 1 and 2, because that is. And why do all the crazy receivers?
You don't think George Pickens is a dog? He be balling with a good quarterback, man.
The problem is he's a psycho. Why do all the psychos got to go to Pittsburgh? You got Antonio Brown, Juju.
Whoa.
All the crazy people are
Antonio Brown. Oh man, it don't matter what system you put him in. He was a god. He couldn't be stopped in his prime. Antonio Brown.
You remember Martavius Bryant? Juju Smith-Schuster had that ridiculous.
He was just a red zone threat. I ain't think Martavius Bryant was just a red zone threat.
Carmike, he was a 4-3 guy. And when Juju Smith-Schuster had his breakout year, he was in the media in Pittsburgh, telling Pittsburgh media, he was going, I don't understand why Juju's getting the ball. I'm better than he is. Telling people in the media he's better than his teammate that was breaking out for the season. They have all the crazy receivers there. Remember Chase Claypool? I don't know why Pittsburgh has all the crazy wide receivers. And they just add another crazy to the mix. It's crazy.
Let me Mo, who you think the Steelers going to pick up as a QB for this offense?
Initially, when I saw the Metcalf signing, and Gene's right, freakish athlete, but he didn't have a route tree. He runs one route. He runs a 9 route over and over and over again. I initially, when I saw the sign, I thought, well, this means that they're going to keep Russ because they have a history. They've had chemistry, but I feel like the Steelers want to re-sign Justin Fields, but now Justin Fields wants to test the markets and make the Steelers wait on him, which I completely understand because of the way they treated him. I think ultimately there's a really good shot. If I've got DJ Metcalf and Pickens as my wideouts, and I don't think either one is a 1, they're 1-ish, then I need a quarterback that can dissect defenses better, be more on time with his passes. That wouldn't be Fields or Russell Wilson. That would be Aaron Rodgers.
I don't like Aaron, man. Aaron been getting his coaches fired lately, and I don't want that for Mike Tomlin.
He's not going to get Mike Tomlin fired.
I mean, Mike Tomlin's already in the hot seat because the Steelers is tired of being 500, but we ain't going nowhere in the playoffs. I mean,
I get that, but remember, they haven't had a franchise quarterback since Ben, and really Ben's last couple of seasons, he wasn't a franchise quarterback. So we just talked about this. We led off with this. The most important position in football, you got to solve that riddle before you talk about winning championships.
Oh no, I agree. But they need a really good. I mean, the way Mike Tomlin coaches, I think they just need a real good game manager. They're not. If they keep going 500, they're never going to get a quarterback out of the draft. But I don't think A-Rod is good for them. Do you think A-Rod is good for them, G?
No, but that's not for here nor there. I think that Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old and he needs to retire. I think. Look, do you remember the concept of Terrell Owens near the end of his career? They changed his nickname. I'll give Skip Bayless credit. He had one good nickname. TO stands for Team Obliterator. And Aaron Rodgers is that. Robert Saleh is a good football coach. I don't care what any of y'all say. He was 8-9 with Zach Wilson, who stinks. His defense was number 2 in the NFL before they fired him. Look what happened to the Jets after they fired Robert Saleh. But it was Robert Saleh was the issue. You brought in everything to appease Aaron Rodgers. You brought his offensive coordinator in, Alan Lazard. Like Randall Cobb was hanging around the facility. Like, why? For Aaron Rodgers. Everything for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. And then, oh, okay, it's not working. It can't be on me. It's got to be on this guy. It's his fault. It's that guy's fault. That's not a leader. Carmike, I don't know what industry you're in life, but if you're a leader, if you're a manager, anytime the big boss came in town and was just like, oh, why is this not working well? Oh, that's Carmike's fault. Carmike it's not me. It's Carmike. But aren't you in charge of this? No, that's Carmike. Mo is the issue. I was talking. Listen, it's not me. It's Mo. Mo is the problem. That's what ends up happening with Aaron Rodgers.
Moving on, Max Crosby got paid $35.5 million per year, along with the simple fact that the Raiders are becoming the Las Vegas Seahawks. Mo, how you feel about this?
Look, I think you have to build around your best players. Bringing back Crosby is a smart move. The Raiders still have a lot of cap space. I think they're a work in progress, but that's a good signing. There, you need something to build off of. He's a building block. So I love it. They brought him back. And I don't think they're done yet. Pete Carroll and company are far from being done.
So you okay with them bringing in a few of the Seahawks players to the Raiders?
Sure. Look, Pete Carroll is saying, look, I know these guys, they're proven. Let's put the band back together for a little run.
Geno Smith's proven?
Geno Smith, you just talked about it. You brought up, you said, if you got a good defense and run game, you did. You said this. Is Geno not a very good, the best version of Geno Smith? He's a very good game manager.
Pete Carroll did turn him around, but Geno been looking bad since Pete ain't been there. So, but I mean,
well, I feel like this. Geno's the kind of quarterback you can win with him, but you're not going to win because of him.
Gene, what you think about the Las Vegas Seahawks?
I mean, listen, I'll say it this way. I think what Pete's doing in re-signing Max Crosby, who everyone knows in that locker room is the number one culture guy to the Raiders. I think what Pete's doing is he understands this is not a Super Bowl team now. He is trying to build the culture on both sides of the football. He has a quarterback in which he can trust. He has a defensive leader in which he can trust. And he's trying to build on the culture that Antonio Pierce already started last year. Let's give Antonio Pierce credit. Because if you could say one thing about that Vegas Raiders team last year is they didn't quit. They did not quit. So that Las Vegas team as a whole is being built through culture. And that culture is Max Crosby. That culture is Geno Smith. That culture is guys that Pete Carroll knows, that understands, are going to be able to bring into that industry.
So with the market being set for non-quarterbacks with Max Crosby and Myles Garrett, what does this mean for the Cowboys with Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase at this point? Gene, the NFL genius.
Bad organizations wait to pay their players. Who was the first player paid this offseason, Carmike? You know that. Yep. And why did they pay Saquon early this
Because
offseason?
we knew something was coming down the pike. How he's a wizard, man. He did good. Because if he didn't, we'd have been hurting right now.
Dak was the last of the mediocre quarterbacks that got overpaid. They went, Jordan Love, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, and then Dak's like, these guys got 55. I'm gonna get 60. CD was the last of the elite wide receivers that got paid, and he got overpaid. Right now, Jamar is the last of the elite wide receivers that's about to get paid. Bad organizations make these mistakes all the time. And now Micah Parsons is the last of the elite edge rushers about to get paid. So guess what? Micah Parsons is looking at what Myles Garrett just got in Cleveland and going, wait a minute. I'm younger. I'm walking in the prime of my career. You just freed up $53 million in salary cap. I'm about to give $40.1 million. And the problem is this, right? If you would have paid Micah last offseason, you probably would have only had to pay him $32 million. But now you got an extra $9 million on the books because you let Max Crosby and Myles Garrett get paid. That's your fault. That's the Cowboys and the Bengals make these mistakes. Look at what the Bengals situation is right now. They're trading Trey Hendrickson. They let him get a trade. T. Higgins is on the franchise tag, and Jamar Chase is going to hold out. Bad organizations allow players to sit and wait. That's not how that works. You got to see the market before it happens.
Mo Better, how you feel about it?
I think the Cowboys are doing cowboy things. They're not a forward-thinking organization, and it's going to cost them. They're going to either pay Micah Parsons and he's going to reset the market, or he's going to hold out. That's what's going to happen. Dallas is very much like Cincinnati. It's weird to say that, but over the last few years, the brain trust in Dallas, they have not read the market right. And when you don't do that, when you don't think forward and anticipate, it costs you. Dallas is good. Look, I said before last season, they weren't going to make the playoffs. This isn't breaking news. They're not going to make the playoffs this year either.
No, it's not just Dallas. It's Dallas. Listen, I'll give credit where credit's due. We haven't even talked about this enough. But what the Chicago Bears are doing is the right way to build an organization. And when you learn how, like Ben Johnson coming in there and going, okay, what do we need this offseason? Offensive line? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to fix
Why did the Bears wait until they got the quarterback? What's this kid's name? Caleb Williams, when they had Justin Fields already on the helm, ready to play.
Because they're a bad organization. Carmike, I say this all the time. Bad organizations make bad moves. Do you think Justin Fields could play? Because I do. I don't know how you think. I think the kid can play.
I think he's very good, but he just need to be in the lab quarterback. Like he needs somebody to teach him how to throw the ball. That's his problem.
I want you to think about Justin Fields' first 5 years in the league, right? I want you to think about them. Matt Eberflus. Hold on. He got drafted by Matt Nagy. A year into that, he had Matt Eberflus for 2 years, who's a defensive coordinator. The two offensive coordinators he got were terrible. Luke Getsy, like seriously, go look up Luke Getsy. I'm not like trying to be that guy. That was his offense coordinator. And then they were like, oh, we're going to trade him to be a rotational quarterback in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, who's a defensive guy. Oh, and by the way, their offensive coordinator was Arthur Smith, our running backs coach he was a Titans. He was a running backs coach. Then he was a Titans offense coordinator. Then he was the head coach of Atlanta Falcons, who never developed a goddamn quarterback.
True.
Get Justin Fields in a situation where a front office goes, Justin, we know you're the guy. We can build around you. We can allow you to develop. I'm just saying, sometimes quarterbacks have zero opportunity in this league. And Bryce Young was almost one of them. Dave Canales seems to have gotten his ways together, but Bryce Young was a stud at Alabama. How do you watch that kid in Alabama? Watch him in the SEC championship game, dicing up one of the greatest defenses we've ever seen play football in Georgia. And then he goes to Carolina, like, oh, he sucks. He was never going to be good. What are you watching? How do you watch Justin Fields put up 6 touchdowns versus Clemson versus a Dabo Swinney defense? 6 touchdowns in a college football playoff versus Clemson. Oh, he's not good. They lost 42-41 to Georgia. That was Stroud. But my point being is some of these quarterbacks, they go into situations where you're like, it's never going to work. And that's what Justin's been in.
And look, I think Fields is incredibly talented. I think Gene is spot on with that. I don't think nobody would deny his talent. But in all fairness, I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback. I know that he's talented, but there's not been an organization since he's come into the league that's been in love with him. He's yet to find that perfect match where they're all over him. You're our guy. We love you. We will build around you a system that fits your skill set. That is yet to happen in his career. And up until this point, I don't know what he's going to be. Like, I feel like Pittsburgh should be looking to solidify the quarterback position with him rather than the older quarterbacks. And yet I don't think they're in love with him either. That's the problem, right? What organization is going to completely invest in Justin Fields?
I think the problem Justin Fields is having is he's more of a Michael Vick-esque when he first went to the Falcons type of play style, and people are not really trying to invest in a quarterback who's not really good at throwing the ball accurately, but he has a strong arm. He just can't get it there when you need it to.
You don't think Justin Fields has almost identical skill sets to Lamar Jackson? Because I do. I do. I'm not saying he's the 3-time MVP, but don't they have identical skill sets? Because to be honest,
they have identical play styles, more.
Right? But look at Lamar Jackson, not a great thrower of the football. There's a reason why wide receivers go to Baltimore to die, because Lamar Jackson is not the kind of quarterback who can really dissect defenses. He can't throw you open, and yet we're killing Justin Fields, and he has the same exact talent and skill set.
If you look at Lamar Jackson when he first came in, he could throw the ball. He was very good at throwing the ball inside the number to his tight ends. Outside the numbers, he was bad, but he developed that along the way. Justin Fields is bad inside and outside the numbers.
Nope. Watch the last year him playing in Chicago. I disagree with you completely. Watch the way
he did was run the ball in Chicago.
No. His last year, why do you think DJ Moore was clamoring for him to stay? Why do you think DJ Moore had such an annoying year this year with Caleb Williams? Like, watch some of the throws he made deep to DJ Moore. Some of the Justin. If you're gonna tell me Justin Fields just runs the football, I invite you to watch Ohio State versus Clemson tape. I'll invite you. We can watch it together.
A lot of quarterbacks kill in college, but he can't. They didn't have nobody, just like they didn't have nobody to help Lamar be who he is now. They had to get somebody else. They need that for Justin Fields as well. Somebody to mold him to be better.
Please pin this. Please pin this on the goddamn screen. They didn't have no choice. They had Jason Peters playing left guard for them.
That is absolutely correct. His line was trash as well.
And guess what? The Steelers' offensive line, they're not great either. Like, the man has been running for his life ever since he's been in the NFL. Like, Lamar has one of the better offensive lines in pro football.
Fact.
And then they turned around and added one of the dominant running backs of this era to Lamar to give him another weapon.
Fact.
I'm just saying, give Justin the same setup, and you're probably going to get the same results.
Yeah, that comes with the GM. You need somebody to mold the quarterback. Like, he's a very good talent. Very good.
By the way, Carmike, here's the one thing I want to point out to you. This is Justin Fields making the right decision by going to free agency. Now it's his choice on where to go. Now I can blame him on the decisions that are made. He gets to sit in these meetings. When you're drafted, you have no choice of where you're going in the NFL. He was drafted to Chicago. By the way, Carmike, I would like to ask you a trivia question. Mm-hmm. Who is the greatest Bears quarterback of all time?
The greatest Bears quarterback?
Just think of any good one. Give me a good one. Give me an above-average quarterback that played for the Bears ever in the history of the franchise. Don't worry. I'll wait.
Honestly,
I'll go with D. None of the above. There's none. There's no good quarterbacks. Like, when you go to an organization like that, you're just like, oh, well. I mean, bro, I'm serious. In 2 years from now, we're going to be talking about Caleb Williams, the greatest Bears quarterback ever to play for Chicago. That's embarrassing.
Caleb Williams. I mean, the boy's good, man. But, let's see, there, man. So let's talk about the Bengals, the Seahawks, and the Jaguars. They look like seamlessly to be dismantling their teams going into this offseason. How you feel about this, Mo, for the Bengals, Seahawks, and the Jaguars, man? Like, I feel bad for Burrow, but how you feel about these teams?
Look, with the Bengals, they're just making bad mistake after bad mistake. You let your edge rusher go. All right, I get it. You tag T. Higgins. I don't understand the thinking there. And then you still have yet to sign Jamar Chase, who, by the way, his contract is going to reset the market. And if he doesn't get his money, he's already told you. It's not a secret. He's not playing. And what happens if you try to hold out or stall him out? It's going to be week 4, week 5. Then he comes back. He's not in football shape. He's not ready to go. Then he gets a weird injury and he's out for the season. We've seen this over and over again. This is Cincinnati being Cincinnati. They shoot themselves in the foot over and over again. They're just a bad organization, top to bottom. With the Seahawks, I feel like they're trying to do a mini reset, and I kind of understand that with the regime that they have. So they look at where they're at now. They know that they're not one of the better teams in the NFC. So I understand the reset. With the Jaguars, I mean, that's kind of like Cincinnati, bad organization, make bad decisions. So the moves that all 3 of the organizations have made has not shocked me at all. They're very consistent at being bad.
Gene, how you feel about these 3 organizations?
Well, it's different, right? I don't have any issue with the Seattle Seahawks are doing. Mike McDonald became their coach last year. He's getting his guys. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the number 1 wide receiver on the Seattle Seahawks last year. Not DK Metcalf, not Tyler Lockett. So why are we going to pay other people number 1 wide receiver money? Our number 1 guy is Jackson Smith-Njigba. The coach says, I don't think we can win a Super Bowl with a guy I didn't draft. This is not my guy in Geno Smith. I'm going to find a guy for me, for my system. I'm okay with that too. You got to marry the coach to the quarterback. I say that all the time. So what the Seattle Seahawks are doing is not wrong. I have a new head coach. I believe in this head coach. I'm going to build around this head coach. The other 2 organizations, the Jaguars and the Bengals, are in Gene's bottom 5 organizations, and which we call poverty franchise, in which they make awful decisions every route that they go. Like Christian Kirk, we're going to release him. Wait. You guys will give us a 7th-round pick for him? Fine, we'll send him over there. Like, what are we doing? The Jaguars and the Bengals are just bad organizations. The only reason that they have any relevancy is because they had 2 number 1 picks and they drafted 2 very good prospect quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence has not developed into what I thought he would yet, and I can understand why. You started him with Urban Meyer, and then Joe Burrow has been incredible despite of a terrible organization. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense why these organizations are making the wrong moves. Trent Baalke was the GM. I don't know who he has naked pictures of anywhere, but he's got something of someone, because that's the guy that, if you don't know who Trent Baalke is the guy that ran Jim Harbaugh out of San Francisco originally. Trent Baalke is the guy that destroyed. Dude, I want you to take a second real quick and say, all right, the Jaguars have a top 5 this. Go. The Jaguars have a top 10 this. Go. Where are they top 10 anywhere?
I mean, they was moving in the right direction when Trevor Lawrence and them went to the AFC was the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, but with who? Carmack, with who? That was Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence going, smoke and mirrors. We'll figure it out. If you remember that wild card game, they were down 28-3. They came back and won the game because Justin Herbert likes to choke when the game's on the line. But, how did they get there?
But aren't you supposed to build on it if you get there? You're supposed to.
Correct. With who?
I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence, man. He's a good talent, man. But I don't know. Sometimes he look like he don't want to play football no more at this point. Burrow, they're throwing him in the toilet. I think he's gonna retire like Andrew Luck did at some point.
He will.
Bad. It's just bad business. So Xavier Worthy got in trouble over the weekend, domestic violence, but they're dropping the charges. But before they drop the charges, the Chiefs went ahead and signed Hollywood Brown to $11 million for 1 year because they probably thought Xavier is about to be unavailable. Mr. Gene, how you feel about Mr. Hollywood and Xavier?
I mean, the Chiefs don't have no money, so they got to play with the cards that they're dealt. And I don't understand what it is about Kansas City that has wide receivers or people out there or running backs out there kicking women. Like, I don't understand what it is about that organization, but doesn't it seem like there's always, and look, I'll be honest with you. It's a very Andy Reid like atmosphere in Kansas City. Well, we don't care. Kick your wife. Like we'll do whatever. Just come on in. We'll take you. Like, Andy Reid's been known to be a second chance guy. A guy that looks past character. Think about Tyreek Hill. Think about Michael Vick. And listen, I'm not saying anything bad about Michael Vick, but there was a reason only one organization gave him a shot. Now, he did great with that shot in Philadelphia, but there was a reason that only one organization gave him a shot. Think about his son. I hate to say it, but think about his son who vehicular homicide, drunk driving, leaving the Chiefs facility. Like, these are things that happen. I don't know about Xavier Worthy's story, so I have to read into it, because I know Cottrell is going to knowledge me about it. But I feel like that this is an organization where a lot of this shit happens.
His story is a lot of speculation right now. It's more of he caught his girlfriend cheating and they got into a thing at his home. But, Mo, how you feel about Hollywood, man? Them re-signing him to the Chiefs, man. Honestly, it's tough because it's a lot of wide receivers in the free agency, so I don't like it. But how you feel about it?
Like Gene said, the Chiefs don't have a lot of money, so they really couldn't go after one of the top guys. And look, Hollywood Brown, he still has the speed to take the top off the defense, so he still gives you that threat, even though he's not a number one. Patrick Mahomes has showed you he can game manage with a bunch of twos, so I think it's a good signing. And Hollywood Brown in that system will be productive, but they didn't bring him back for 1 year on a 1 year deal because they thought he'd be the 1 or 2. I think he's going to be more like a 3 or 4 situational wideout. So to me, it's a good signing and it's an affordable signing.
So let's switch gears. I want to go to the NBA, man. Mo, let's talk about these Lakers, man. They was on a streak, doing well. Came into Boston, man. What you think about that game?
I thought it was an interesting game. But it was the game of all the games they've played since Luke has been there that kind of revealed their flaws. They don't have any rim protection, and if you look at their schedule, the Celtics are the first team that they played that have multiple guys that can put the ball on the floor and get their own shot. So you're not guarding Tatum, you're not guarding Brown, White, Holiday, and company are getting open looks. It was an entertaining game, but it wasn't. It didn't reveal anything new to me about the Lakers. I think when you play the defending champions and you kind of hold your own, it says that you're a legitimate threat, at least in terms of having a puncher's chance to come out the West. Yeah, I still agree with that. I don't think they could beat the Celtics in a series because the Celtics are just a better basketball team, but we're a long way from that. I still think the Lakers have a puncher's chance. I think when you've got two dynamic players like LeBron and Luka, and by the way, when people go, LeBron's been averaging 28 and 12 over this run, right? But he's been averaging the 28 points a game because he's been doing that since Luka's been there. And he's been doing that because the ball is in Luka's hand primarily, which means LeBron's playing off the ball more, moving more off the ball. Look, it's a great two-man game right now, but when you watch it against the Celtics, Luka couldn't guard nobody. They were talking about LeBron's elite defense. He ain't play elite defense that game. He ain't guard nobody either. Like, he tried to play it safe. They kept putting him on Al Horford, which is a smart. But the thing is, that's the thing. When you play against a team like Boston, you can't hide everybody. You can't hide Reeves, LeBron, and Luka. One of them got to play defense, and you're not going to beat the Celtics with 3 minus wing defenders.
And the funny thing that you bring up when we talk about the Lakers in that game, because I got the chance to watch that game. That's the most I've ever seen. Not ever, but this year, the Boston Celtics have to be shooting more threes than anyone in basketball. Like I don't know the number, but like they shot so little like threes in that game. They weren't beat by the 3. They were beat by Tatum and Brown driving to the hole. Like, and the only threes that beat them, like I distinctly remember the Jaylen Brown one from the corner where Jason Tatum drove the lane, and then the Lakers like, oh crap, let's all converge on him, and then it was kick out threes. So like all that stuff was built off of penetrate and pop or penetrate and score, and they just couldn't be stopped. And it was very like a lot of people look at that game like, oh, it's a 10-point game. The Celtics only scored 111 points, and forget that the Lakers won the fourth quarter by 10 points. They were down 20 going into the fourth. That game was over. Like everyone knew that game was over.
And one more thing about that game, Jason Tatum was the best player on the floor.
Fact.
I get it. For whatever reason, we don't perceive Tatum to be a killer. We don't view him like that. He is a top 7 basketball player in the NBA. And he's not really one of the legit MVP candidates. But when Jason Tatum steps on the floor and he's aggressive, he's one of the best players by far. He was in attack mode 99% of that game, and they didn't have anybody that could stay in front of him.
I think he was just more motivated going into this game. Before one, the Lakers was on a win streak, and they got the most hype, so I guess he wanted to calm that down, I mean, both teams shot a lot of threes that game. Boston went 13 for 38. The Lakers went 14 for 40. So
38's not a lot for Boston, though. I'll bet you if I look at Boston just last game, let me see what they shot versus the 76ers. And the 76ers stink, but that's not the point.
Speaking of the 76ers, go ahead.
They shot 48 threes versus the 76ers. Like 38's low for them, bro. Let me just grab a Nuggets game. The Nuggets are a better team than the 76ers. They shot 34 versus the Nuggets. Okay, so 38's normal for them, bro. Normal.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Nuggets, Joker had a huge game on Friday night. 30, 20, and 20. Turned around and took a L by 20 to the Thunder. I mean, it's still regular season, but Shy trying to stamp his mark on MVP. And if Gene, how you feel about the Thunder and Nuggets, man?
So just to be clear, going into the fourth quarter, that game looks like it was a blowout. That game was great through 3 quarters. Just be clear. The fourth quarter, that Nuggets Thunder game destroyed that game. Like the Nuggets went on one of those we're not going to miss runs, and they were just hitting from everywhere, and it was like an avalanche. It was in Oklahoma City. The crowd was going nuts. Everybody wanted SGA to stamp that MVP because Joker got close. So I just want to be very clear when I say that. That's one. Second, let's talk about the Nuggets for a second. I hate saying this. I hate doing this because it's going to seem like I have any issue with Nikola Jokic, which I don't. I cannot stand listening to him in interviews. Like, I just don't even interview him anymore. Just let him be great and stop interviewing him. He gets on an interview with Scott Van Pelt talking about, well, man, that's like the first 30-20-20 thing. Oh, okay. Yes. Like, I don't like, bro, like you have like this guy could care less about being any type of leader or face of the league or any of that. Just, I don't want to hear him talk, bro. He just pisses me off. Like, you just did something historical. How does that feel? Oh, it's just okay. And, like, I can't stand listening to this man.
Somebody did bring up, but that's the reason why international players can't be the face of the league, man. They're just like, I'm just here to play ball. Mo, how you feel about the Nuggets and Thunder, man?
It was an entertaining game, like Gene said. You get to the fourth quarter, 41-20. They just destroyed them in the fourth. Look, the thing about OKC is they can come at you in waves, and Denver doesn't have that option. Denver doesn't have a lot of depth, and I think what's going to kill them in the postseason is they don't have a lot of shooting. They just don't. They don't have enough shooting around Joker. Look at SGA though. What's different about Joker too, and I'm not trying to downplay what Joker does, but Joker is very unique in that he's ball dominant, but he's ball dominant as a center. I've never seen a ball dominant center before, but he's the first ball dominant center in NBA history. They run everything through him, and when you're a ball dominant, talented player, your numbers are going to be a little bit inflated because everything runs through you. So I'm not knocking Joker, but I think that these people that are trying to call for the MVP race to be close, I don't get that. I don't get that. They keep changing the formula. So many times it's been, well, best player on the team with the best record. SGA is the best player on the team with the best record. But more to the point, he's a more impactful player than Joker on both ends of the floor. Joker's not an elite defender. SGA is going to be all NBA. He's going to make the all NBA defensive team. So he's not a one trick pony. He's an elite player. He's deserving of the MVP. I'm not knocking Joker. Like if you ask me, plain and simple, who do I think is the best player? The best player, I still think it's Joker.
To be fair,
but the guy that's the MVP. No, go ahead.
To be fair though, they do run the ball through Joker a lot, but who else is going to play point guard for them out there? You see Jamal Murray being a good playmaker for them. I think he's the best playmaker they have is Joker.
No, I'm just making a point. Yeah, he is, but he's the best playmaker by default because they run he's their best player and they run everything through them. It's not that Jamal Murray can't get you 8 or 9 assists a game. He's shown that before. He's averaging 6 a game, so clearly Jamal Murray can be a facilitator. But I'm just saying that the way Mike Malone runs his system, everything is through Joker. Go back through history. Look at all the great centers. All the great centers draw double teams so they can kick it out. Joker is unique in that every possession in a 24-second clock, the ball is in his hands a good 14, 15 seconds. He's unique. He's a ball-dominant center.
I completely agree with what you just said, Mo. And, like, it's not – I don't want to say that that his numbers are inflated. Like, they are. I get it. But, like, that's not the hate I'm trying to bring down on him. What I'm trying to say with – Nikola Jokic is they built their team that way intentionally. So like Carmike, you bring up like who else is going to run point for them. Well, that's why they built their team that way, because they want Jokic to run. They want the offense to run through Jokic. Like they play a style in which you put wings and like guys that like Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Christian Braun starting for them now. So like when you have that type of style around you, like it's because you want to run everything through your best player, and give them credit for that. They've done a good job of doing that. That's not a detriment to Joker. But I mean, Cottrell just said it. They tried to use that with Russ. Like, I don't.
And in other news, just Philadelphia 76ers get another win.
You say another win. We got to stop doing that, right? They won 2 games in the last 12. Like, I'm mad that they won.
They should be winning games at all.
I get it. But, like, when you play Utah, who's one of the other teams that's trying to lose, like, someone's got to win. Like, Lonnie Walker and Kyle Filipowski were the leading scorers last night. Like, who cares? Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole when I do this, but I'm going to read you the Utah Jazz starting lineup right now. I just want to do this just for fun. KJ Martin, Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, Johnny Zhuzhang from UCLA, and Isaiah Collier. They're trying to lose basketball games. Like, they're trying to lose basketball games. Like, that 5 couldn't win an NCAA title. Like, they're not, like, all 5 of them came up short. Not all 5 of them. But 4 of the 5 of them came up short in the college level. So, like, it's like, we're not, come on, dude. The Sixers are going to win games, whether it be accidental or intentional, but they're going to win games. But they've won 2 out of their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2 out of the last 14 games. Like, that's going to happen. Sorry.
Noted. Mo, Cavs dominated the Bucks, man. Are they do you see the Bucks still being a franchise after the season? Because they're not looking.
Milwaukee's gonna always be in the picture because you have Giannis. The same way Denver's gonna always be in the picture in the West because you have Joker. Do I think they have enough around Giannis to make a title run? No, they don't. They don't. They're not a title threat. He would have to play beyond what he's playing now for them to even go on a run. So I look at Milwaukee and I go, we're watching the Giannis in his prime. Those years are going to be wasted. And at some point he'll ask for a trade. My fear is he'll ask for a trade like most great players do when he's on the other side of his prime, and he won't have the same impact wherever he goes. That's the problem. Look, the Cavs dominated them because they're just out and out better than them, top to bottom. Outside of Giannis, the Cavaliers are better in every position. So it's not a good matchup. And I look at the Bucks. What does the future hold for them? You have Giannis. You have Brook Lopez, who's, I believe, 36, 37. They brought in Kyle Kuzma. That was supposed to be the wow factor move, and I knew what it was. Kyle Kuzma is Kyle Kuzma. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is better than Chris Middleton at this, even though he's not. Even though Chris Middleton.
I don't know if let me just get in here real quick. Mo kind of froze up. Can we just call it for what it is? I'm ready. I'm ready to say this. Like, right. Cottrell puts this right, and his thing is he wants to call Mike Tomlin Doc Rivers. That's what he wants to do. Doc Rivers is Mike Tomlin, and I didn't realize why he was doing this until recently. We got to admit that Damian Lillard is a loser. Can we just say that? He's a loser. He's always been a loser. He was a loser his whole career. He's not going to win. And can we just admit that? Can we just say that out loud? But like his way of doing that is saying, "Oh, it's Doc Rivers." Doc Rivers stinks. Damian Lillard has been nothing but a loser his entire career. And we were like, "Oh, in Portland, he just never had the chemistry." And then he went and played for Team USA and stunk. And no one wanted to talk about that. Oh, it was a bad summer for Dame. And now he's on a team, though. It's old school Dame again. He's going to be on Milwaukee. He stinks. No, he doesn't stink.
Real quick, Gene, before we get off, I want to have your sleeper in the West and the sleeper in the East.
My bad.
Who might make a playoff run.
I appreciate you keeping me on track. I told you my sleeper in the West already. And I guess they're sleep. Now, I don't know if they're a sleeper anymore because they're the 6th seed. The Golden State Warriors are coming out of the West. That's what I think. The Golden State Warriors are coming out the West. Jimmy Buckets, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. Give me the Warriors, baby. You asked for a sleeper. I'm not going to give you a top seed.
I'm thinking Rockets. Rockets is young. They've been playing very well. Mo, what you think? Well, Gene, first, your East team too. Who's your East team? What?
The East
outside the Sixers, you ain't making it the playoffs.
No, I'm not worried.
Playoffs. Sleeper team.
There's none. I can't do that in the East, right? Like the East is going to be won by one of two teams. It's going to be the Boston Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep.
I don't know who else that I could pick. Like, could I pick the Knicks as a sleeper and be like, maybe they'll have their whole starting 5 and they'll get a seat? Like, because that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's the only three you have. Bang, bang, bang.
Mo, your sleepers, East and West.
So let me go East real quick. I'm with Gene. If there is a sleeper in the East, it's the Knicks, period. That's it. In the West, I think the West is so wide open, but just for fun, if we're going sleeper, I'll take Memphis. I'll take Memphis as a sleeper.
The Grizzlies?
Yeah. Oh, well, look, Gene took Golden State. They're not going to win anything. So we can have fun. We can have fun.
Cottrell's saying that they're not even a sleeper. He goes, the Warriors have lost 2 games since they got Jimmy, and you're calling them a sleeper. Oh, brother. He's making fun of me for saying they're not a sleeper. Like, he thinks they're a contender. So, like, the sides of the equation that we're on right now between Mo and Cottrell are hilarious.
I think
it's a matchup. I don't think the Warriors are going to go that deep. If they match up with the Nuggets or the Thunder, I think they out of there.
I just think it proves that Cottrell will do whatever he can to hate on me. That's what he does. Cottrell is like my nemesis in life.
Big Mo, who's your East team?
Oh no, I already picked the East. In the West, though, I'm gonna go with like I said, I'm gonna go with Memphis. I think it's interesting about Golden State. I'll say this about Golden State: should they get a good matchup in the first round, they might make a deep run. But I feel like the Warriors are that team that can make a deep run, or they could get knocked out in the first round. Like they are. I'm with Gene. That makes them sleepers. I don't care that Jimmy has came up. The fact that Jimmy's come up and they're like 12-2 with them, right? But look where their overall record is. They've won like 12 out of 14 to get to where they are. But look, and I'm not trying to be a homer. You actually think Golden State could beat the Lakers healthy? And no, that's a sweep. That's not a good series. That's a sweep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for us today. Mr. Gene, do you have any closing remarks for us?
I'm not. I'm the Ned Flanders is Homer. I'm with that. Ned was much smarter than Homer.
I thank everybody for tuning in to Wire to Wire Network. Mr. Mo, go ahead and close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, appreciate you.